November can't come fast enough, if you ask me. I've already seen it. Ads running all the time, yard signs everywhere. Millions of dollars are pouring into the primary race for Minnesota's 5th congressional district. That is Minneapolis U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar's district. What's interesting here, it's her Democratic opponent who's raising a ton of money. Antone Melton-Meaux. He told the Star-Tribune he raised $3.2 million between April and the end of June. $3.2 million between April and the end of June in a pandemic. Roshini Rajkumar is an executive coach, crisis communication expert, also a host here on News Talk 830 WCCO. It's Real Talk with Roshini. Roshini's on the CenterPoint Energy Home Service Plus hotline. Roshini, I guess, first off, that amount of money, that's extraordinary.
Yes, Antone is getting a lot of dollars, and they're coming in from all over the country, which that in itself is an indication of something bigger than just the 5th district.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. This, to me, and he's a Democrat, so this is party-on-party crime. He's a Democrat. What does this tell you about what's happening here?
Well, the last I counted, she has 4 opponents in the primary on August 11th. So not only Antone Melton-Meaux, but 3 other people. And, you know, that's a lot of different fronts to fight. But he's the one who's really gotten a lot of traction. We get regular mailings here at our house. For whatever reason, my husband gets all the political mailing, regardless of party, and we've gotten things almost every day from his campaign, as well as some from Ilhan Omar's campaign. But what it says is that, you know, it's not even 2 years that she's served in the U.S. House, and both Antone as well as the other challengers to Ilhan Omar see that she's vulnerable. I mean, she's had some negative headlines right out of the gate. She's also had some big headlines that some would see as positive. So this is a very polarizing character. And I will say I live in the 5th, so Ilhan Omar is my representative in Congress, but she's definitely had some headlines that have hurt her right out of the gate. So that's something that Antone's campaign, as well as the other Democratic campaigns, are seizing upon, and they see that she's vulnerable in the primary that's coming up in just under a month.
So where did he come from? I mean, I've been seeing some signs. I've been seeing a little bit of some ads running, but where's he come from? Has he ever even been in politics?
You know, he's worked for different members of government. So, you know, if you look him up, I actually spoke with him on my show back on May 17th. People can go look on the Real Talk, listen on the Real Talk with Roshini show page to hear him in his own words. He's a pretty soft-spoken, he's been called humble by others, but he's got quite the credentials. I mean, he's a lawyer. He's now a mediator. He's a minister. I mean, he kind of has that presence that is, you know, in the you and I talk about this on the other segments, you know, you don't have to have a big hammer to have presence. He's got that strong silence presence. And what it seems to me, just watching it, analyzing it, is that he's trying to really counter her sometimes bombastic, wilder presence with his more laid back, voice of reason kind of presence. I mean, that's just me analyzing it. I have not talked to him about his strategy by any means.
Yeah, you brought up, he'll be going up against, and there's some other challengers there too, but going up against Representative Ilhan Omar. And you had mentioned it, kind of a divisive first term. Some good things, some bad things. She's made headlines. She's had some family stuff going on too. And so, yeah, I think that's got to be at the core of it, where the Democrats see it as, you know, we got to protect ourselves here in this 5th congressional district.
Right. And I mean, just to compare with another first-term member of Congress, Dean Phillips III, Dean hasn't really had a lot of negative headlines, at least that I can recall. He does have at least one challenger in the 3rd. But that's on the Republican side. He doesn't have a primary challenge as far as I am aware. So he doesn't have to really worry about things right now. He can save his energy for the November election or leading up to it. But when you have someone who on so many fronts, being female, being Muslim, you know, that gets challenged for different reasons, but especially her anti-Semitic remarks have really struck a chord. And you see a lot of that money pouring in from Jewish-aligned organizations, Cory.
Yeah. When Roshini, what's the timeline here? When are the primaries and stuff like that? And how is it affected by COVID?
Yeah, so August 11th will be the primary date. People can vote either by mail or in person. I had the Secretary of State on my show this past Sunday, and he said he's getting an overwhelming number, which he's excited about, of mail-in ballots, so people can vote either way, but that is happening. And, it's specific to you in the primary. You don't have to declare, you don't have to publicly declare what party you are, but once you go to the primary, you are expected to vote along party lines. So that is sometimes what keeps some people away from primaries, but a lot of the action happens in the primary, Cory, especially when there's a challenge like this to such a big office. So I'm a big fan of voting, and I do hope people get out, regardless of what district you're in, and vote in your primary elections.
Yeah, she's Roshini Rajkumar, an executive coach, host here on News Talk 830 WCCO, Real Talk with Roshini. We've talked about this before, Roshini, the mask thing. I cannot believe how divisive it's become for some people, although we have run polls here on our show, obviously unscientific, and the majority of them have come back, yeah, if it's mandated, I'll wear them, or I'm just not now. There are still a lot of people that say, I'm not going to wear it. I'm kind of this morning wondering what we're waiting for here in a mask mandate when the CDC is recommending a mask mandate. We've got, Walmart today now even saying, hey, you can't come in here without a mask on. How would it look now if Governor Walz enacts a mask mandate now and then we have cities that are mandating it too?
If Governor Walz asked me if I were his coach, I would say just make a decision today, Governor, and then leave it. I think what we have seen is that he continues to say, well, I'm waiting. Here's the thing. Just like the federal government gives the states many ways to govern themselves, I look at this as Governor Walz saying to the cities, you govern yourself. You decide what works for you, whether it's Winona, Worthington, Duluth, Richfield. You decide what works for you. That's a strategy. It's not a bad strategy. But what I wish Governor Walz would do is just make up his mind, because a lot of different brands, as you've mentioned, Walmart, Starbucks, Best Buy, a lot of brands are saying you come in our stores, regardless of what your city says, you need to wear a mask. So I think Governor Walz, there's a certain smart thing about just letting the cities and the companies do what they want to do. But he should just say, look, I'm done. I'm not mandating it across the state. If that's what he decides, and just say it and get it done with. I mean, how many weeks now have we been waiting on Governor Walz to tell us whether there's a statewide mandate? So that's kind of that drag on and delay isn't a good strategy for him. The other, Cory, is, you know what? We are free people. Wear a mask. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. You don't need to wait for the governor or your city or a company to have a policy. Wear a mask. If that's what you want to do, wear a mask. And I am really surprised that it's gotten almost violent, Cory. That's how political it's gotten. It's really almost violent in some sectors.
Yeah, I got people texting me right now, all in caps, yelling at me about talking about masks, which is just tells you how people feel about it. But to your point, when we hear Governor Walz, even on with Dave this morning, say we're seriously considering it. Well, to me, it's like if you look at it from a parenting perspective, when you say that to your kid, hey, we're seriously considering it, that means you're going to do it. So why? I don't understand. Like, to your point, like, what are we waffling on? Are we waiting for a contract to dry or something? Like, it also kind of. Then I wonder, is it like, is it to prepare us? Because I look at like the school decision back in March. Like he said, we're going to take these 2 weeks to figure out what it might look like with distance learning. And I think most people saw through it and said, well, that means we're probably not going to have school the rest of the year. I get that. Okay, it was like dipping into the hot tub. We don't want to jump right in. We got to dip our toes, kind of get people to accept that this is the situation. I think maybe that's what he's doing here, but it's just gone on for a long time.
Yeah, it's gone on for a long time. And my own bone to pick with Governor Walz is this emergency powers thing. He very easily has moved to extend his emergency powers. I think it's unconstitutional, frankly, but he can't make a decision on the mask. I mean, it's sort of ridiculous. So I wish he would just go one way or another on the mask so we can stop talking about it. So you, Cory, will stop getting yelled at by your listeners in all caps. Because it's just, get a hobby, people. Make up your own minds. I wish the governor would just be solid one way or the other, and let's move on. We have so many important issues to deal with right now.
Yeah. Roshini, you wouldn't believe it. I'm always getting yelled at. Doesn't matter. I'm getting yelled at by everybody.
By Dave? By Dave Harrigan, your producer?
Dave's been pretty good. He is pretty good. But Shaletta was on yesterday. She was yelling at me. I mean, I'm just here to take it, I guess.
Well, Cory, it's good that you kind of, you take it in, you maintain grace for other people, and there's a good quality in that too.
I try. That's why I bring you. That's why we have you on all the time, because I love talking to you, Roshini. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Cory. You guys have a great rest of the week.
Roshini Rajkumar there. Make sure you check her out every Sunday right here on News Talk 830 WCCO. Real Talk with Roshini, just an excellent show that she has. She's also an executive coach and crisis communication expert.